guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are snowed in. We've got some ice and sleet out there on the ground. So obviously today is not the day to be out in the garden doing any prep for the coming spring. But what I do have is some soap that I am going to hand mill down into new soap. So hand milling or French milling or triple milling is really all the same thing. Basically, you take a soap bar, and this is a good method if you are a beginner and maybe you had a batch fail. You usually, with most fails, can hand mill it down, and that means you shave it down as small as you can get it. And then you can put it in a pot on the stove and rework it. Basically add a little bit more water, usually an ounce to 2 ounces. Add that in, and then you can have a brand new soap. So this is good to do with soaps that have maybe not come out how you have wanted them to come out. This is also good to do with soaps that you have had maybe for a while and they're getting dried out and crinkly and they're not looking right. You can take those soaps, instead of discarding them, you can take them, shave them down, put them in the pot, as I said, add in a little bit more moisture, and then you can have basically a French milled soap that you've done yourself at home. So that is what we're going to go on ahead and do today. Now what I have is some basic goat's milk. It came out a little too soft on me. I ended up having some issues with my measuring device. For some reason, it didn't alert me that it needed new batteries, and my measurements came out slightly incorrect. So they are a little too soft, which just means that they probably didn't have as much lye as they needed to have a nice firm soap. So we're just going to go on ahead and do a triple milled goat's milk soap, and it's going to be beautiful and wonderful and soft and lovely on the skin. And I don't have a problem doing that. It's better than wasting the soap, so might as well use what we have. Now the one exception to this method is going to be if it is lye heavy. If it is lye heavy, you're probably not going to be able to hand mill it down and rework it. You can try, but I can't guarantee it'll come out. It may be worth the effort. It just depends upon how lye heavy the soap is. If it's extremely lye heavy, it's not going to work. If it's slightly lye heavy, you could still be able to work out the last of that lye and have a nice soap bar. But you're going to have to play with it and just see how it comes out. One way to check your pH, strips are a good way to check and see how your lye is in your soap. Now, since these are soft, I know automatically that they are lye short, which is okay for this method. I also have some soaps that are a little bit more dried out, so it'll kind of compensate. But the triple milling process is actually there to help remove the excess lye and provide a harder bar. Now it does take 2 extra steps, and I will say that grating the soap, takes time. So you might want to just sit down, pop in a movie or a TV show that you want to binge watch or catch up on, and go on ahead and mill it down at the same time. So bonus, you're doing something productive while enjoying a show or something, podcast, whatever you want to listen to or watch. Right, so I'm going to go on ahead. I'm going to get you set up. I'm going to get myself set up over here, and we're just going to start grating this soap. Now, another thing to note is once you grate the soap down, you can leave it for up to 6 months and not worry about making any of the soap bars out of it. That is the bonus to doing this, is that you can leave it grated in an airtight container of some sort and then come back to it later. You have options when you do this. You don't have to do everything all at once that same day. Just so you know that that is a thing that you can kind of play around with. So All right, let's get you set up and we will get this grading started. Okay, so as you guys are probably able to see in that hyperlapse, the soap is pretty darn soft, and I was prepped for that. So it didn't take as long to shave it down as if it was dry. When it's a lot drier, it does take a little bit more time and effort to grate down. But otherwise, I think this is gonna work out well. But we do need to let this sit for about 3 days at this point. You can, as I said, let it sit longer. You can leave it for up to 6 months. If you leave it for longer, this is what you do need to know. You're going to end up needing a little bit more liquid. So anywhere from 1 to 4 ounces. It's just going to depend upon your environment, how humid it is outside or in your home. And then, of course, how dry your soap shavings are, and then what type of liquid you are using. When triple milling, you can add in milks to this soap without having to worry so much about scalding. Now, this is already a goat milk base, but I will probably go on ahead and add in a little bit more just for some extra soothing skin nutrition in the soap. And honestly, I'm pretty sure it's going to come out nice and creamy and smooth. Every single time I've added a milk to the triple mill process, it has just made a beautiful silky bar, and I've enjoyed every single one that I've made. So we're going to let this sit for 3 days, and I will see you back here in the kitchen, and I will show you the process and how it looks and how it should look when you're adding in the liquid, because you don't want to add too much and you don't want to add too little. So I'll show you what it's supposed to look like in 3 days. Okay, we'll see you then. Hey guys, so it is 3 days later and we have let our soap, our shaved soap, I should say, sit for approximately 3 days, and today is the day that we are going to put it in a pot and officially finish the process. So let me go on ahead and get you into position and we will get the fun part started. Now, this is probably the most challenging part of doing this, but when I say that, please know that it's really not that hard. Okay, let's get started. Okay, everyone, so I have roughly 1.5 pounds of shaved soap here in our pot. Now, one of the tricks that I'm going to tell you about, I've got a couple tricks on how to do this. Number one is your pot. So and this is one of the first mistakes that I made when I first played with triple milled soap. I had a pot that was way too large for the amount of shaved soap that I had. What this did was there was too much surface area. You want to keep everything really condensed and tight, so you only want a pot as big as what you are going to be working with, because this will sort of melt down. And if the pot is too big, you're not going to have as much control over the heat. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, the second trick to this is going to be never ever, and this goes for any soap that you make, never ever, and I mean never, use water out of your tap. I don't care if you have well water, I don't care if you have city water, never ever use your tap water. The main reason for that is there's usually deposits and sediments. So if you've ever played with making your own soap and you've had these weird looking spots, or your soap has randomly turned orange and you didn't mean for it to turn orange, it's going to be because of the water. So keep that in mind as well. Now, the third tip that I have when it comes to doing this triple milled soap is going to be know the age of the soap. We kind of discussed this at the beginning of the video, but depending upon how dry your soap is, that's going to be what tells you how much liquid you're going to add in at this stage. So this is a fairly fresh soap for us here today. So I'm only going to start with an ounce of liquid, and what I have is some cubed goat milk that I have frozen, obviously. Now, the way that you want this to look, and we're going to do this fairly low and slow. I've only got this on like medium low heat right now. We want this to look like a mass of mashed potatoes, I guess you could say. So it's going to kind of have an opaque look, and you'll notice that the color will begin to change. The other thing that you'll notice is that it starts clumping in a mass, and that's exactly what you want to happen. Now, if you have a drier soap, and if you're using a direct liquid, such as a milk or a distilled water, always use distilled water. Okay, so you want this to look moisture-wise like a lightly dressed salad. So we don't want a bunch of water, because what we're doing is we are finishing getting out any excess water. We are also helping to remove out any last little bits of lye, which in the process of making soap, you have to have a lye substance of some sort. Even glycerin is technically lye, okay? So you have to have a lye product in order to get a chemical reaction to turn this into soap. Now, that being said, this process ends up working out a lot of the last traces of any lye product, okay? And that's what we want to happen, guys, all right? We want that to happen. We want to get those things out. That's why if you have skin issues such as eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, contact dermatitis issues, if you've ever used a triple milled soap, that is why you can use a triple milled soap versus a typical hard bar of soap. So if you've never used a triple milled soap, I would highly recommend you at least try it. Find a supplier or somebody who makes it. We do have an Etsy shop. I'll put a link down below to that if you're interested, because I do sell this soap. But this triple milled method produces a very hard bar of soap, number one. You can see how this is changing. We're not seeing as many of the shreds in here. This cooks it out. This gives you a bar that's going to last longer than, say, your liquid soap will. But it's going to give you the same skin nourishing benefits and calming and soothing aspects. And as you can see, I can touch this because at this point, the lye is not active, okay? It's not burning my skin. P.S. This batch is for us here at the house, by the way. My mom and I both absolutely love a good goat's milk soap. But if you're somebody who is looking for something that's a little bit more economical than a liquid soap, goes a little bit longer, lasts a little bit longer, you need to try French milled, triple milled, or hand milled soap, because this process will be amazing for your skin. Okay guys, we are where we need to be. I'm going to quickly, or as quickly as I am able to, add this in to our loaf pan. Now this soap here, it's kind of hot. It's not exceedingly hot, but I just put a glove on to help with some of that heat. Now this part you do want to move quickly. I'm just going to shove this down into the mold. And you will want to press this. A lot of companies in France who make French milled soap, they actually have a wooden tool that they use to press it down into their molds to work out any air pockets. This is going to be a very, very rustic looking bar of soap, by the way. So if you're somebody who's wanting swirls and pretty things like that in your soap, this isn't going to do that, okay? I don't mind a nice rustic looking bar of soap though. Sometimes it's nice to have a little something that's kind of homey. All right, I think that's about as good as it's going to get. Now, learning to do a triple milled or hand milled or French milled is a safe way to kind of include your kids in that process if you're looking to do that with your children and teach them a new skill. So all we need to do now is wait about 24, probably 24 hours. If it was summer, I would say I would need to wait 48 hours at least before I tried to remove it from the mold, primarily because we just have a lot of humidity. But since it's so cold right now, we're actually nice and dry. It's heaven. So it's probably only going to take 24, maybe 36 hours at most. So I will see you back here tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening, depending upon the look of the soap. And the way that you can tell is when you go to take the mold out of that wooden frame, all I'll do is just kind of pull the sides and I'll show you what it looks like. If you see anything sticky in there, it's not time to remove it. You need to leave it and let it sit for anywhere from another 12 to 24 hours. So that's why I said 36 potentially. All right, so I will check back with you tomorrow. We'll see what the status is and then go from there, okay? See you tomorrow. Okay, guys, so it has been roughly 29 hours at this point. So let me show you. It's not too stuck there. Show you what we've got. Take the silicone insert and look, it's pulling away from the sides, all right, which is good. If you see along the sides when you're pulling this away any like stringing or anything that seems to be sticky at all, you'll want to let it dry a little bit longer. But of course we're a little bit drier right now just due to the weather. So let's see if we can get it off the bottom here as cleanly. And it looks like it's coming out just fine. You'll feel it. See, there you go. Okay. So we have our loaf here. Okay. And it is still slightly damp to the touch. Now, you can do one of two things, and there are a bunch of people who are of different minds when it comes to soap. Some, and I do this usually, leave it out for another 24 hours before using a cutter on it. In this instance, I'm not going to do that just because we've been fairly dry here. In the summer, when we're a little bit more humid, the middle tends to still be really sticky compared to the ends. So that's usually why I wait to start slicing into it. But the theory behind going ahead and slicing it as soon as you pull it out of the mold is that the bars will start to harden off quicker, which is true. They will, because there's more air that can get around the circumference of each slice. So just pay attention to your environment and what you've got going on, okay? I try not to rush my soaps personally. Now you can also get like a measurer for these so that you have perfectly even bars. But these are very homey looking bars, and I'm not going for exactly perfect here, okay? I like my stuff hand done. Nicely hand done, but okay, almost there. Got that guy a little crooked, but that's okay. You don't even have to have a cutter like this. You could just use a straight edge knife that you have on hand. You don't have to have fancy equipment by any means, okay? All right, so there we go. And this is soft enough, I could probably put these guys together here. Have a half-size bar. Like I said, this is for the family, so I'm not 100% worried about absolute perfection. But now these guys will dry and harden a little bit quicker, and we'll have them ready probably in about a week. At this point, it's now made a homemade soap in actually less than 2 weeks. So, all right, that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video. As always, keep it simple, natural, and essential.